Hello guys, today I'm just making a video on some basic insights on how to solve 5 questions related to the topic Venn diagrams. Now this topic Venn diagrams comes under the big chapter which is called probability. I know many of you guys have this topic coming up for your exams, so hopefully this video guys can help you all in order to solve these type of questions. So if you guys have enjoyed the video, please do like, share and subscribe to the channel. It really helps a lot. And yeah, let's begin with the video. Alright, so the first question and the first understanding of Venn diagrams is that you guys have to know that Venn diagrams is just something related to circles and circles overlapping each other and all drawn inside a big rectangular box. That's all Venn diagrams is. Venn diagrams can be used to show the number of things in different groups or with certain characteristics. Now you guys can easily work out the probabilities by counting up the things that you're interested in. Now this depends on the question as well, and some basic things you have to know is that this symbol here in Venn diagrams just represents the universal symbol, something like a E, kind of like that, and this symbol over here just represents it's an element. Now this all comes under the topic sets. Hopefully I'm going to make a video about that, but now let's focus on the Venn diagrams part. Venn diagrams mostly involve the symbols U and an inverted U. Now this U, which is up, it represents the union, which means that the sets are part of it, and the inverted U means an intersection. Now you're going to use more of this in Venn diagrams when dealing with these type of questions. Now it's very easy to find probabilities from Venn diagrams, so yeah, let's begin with the questions. Right, so now the first question states that 40 students were surveyed, 20 have visited France, 15 have visited Spain, 10 have visited both France and Spain. Now you're going to use this information to complete the Venn diagram. So now you have 2 circles, now you have a big rectangular box. This is how a proper Venn diagram looks like with a box. Now what you're going to do is that the first thing you have to know is that 10 have visited both France and Spain. So now you have to kind of like work the question backwards by reading it. Usually in Venn diagrams it depends from question to question. You got to observe which one has something in common with both France and Spain, and that accordingly can help you find the value. So now here we're going to write 10 because 10 people or 10 students have visited both France and Spain. Now you have to know that 15 have visited Spain, so since it's 15 we cannot write directly for 15 because this whole circle represents Spain. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to deduct 10 from 15. So it's going to be 15 minus 10, which is going to give us a value of 5. Now same thing, we know that 20 have visited France. This whole circle represents France, so you have 20 minus 10, which is going to give us a value of 10. Now you cannot leave the question and the answer like this. You have to remember that there are a total of 40 students surveyed in the question. Now if we add 10 plus 5, that gives us a maximum of about 25. And since there are 40 students, we have to do 25 deduct from 40. So you have 40 minus 25. Now this is going to give us a total value of about 15. The 25 which I got from here is 10 added to 10 added to 5. This is how I found out what 25 is, and we deduct 25 from 40 to give us a value of about 15. Now this is where we're going to leave the answer like this, and this total question is basically approximately for 3 marks, but it involves a lot of idea. Now let's move on to the next question. Now the next question, the second question, is more like a worded question. I just drawn out the Venn diagram. Now Venn diagrams can have both, let's say, 2 circles or 3 circles. It doesn't matter how many circles they have, as long as you guys have understood the idea, and it's going to work out. For 3 circles, this portion here just represents the intersection between 3 parts. Alright, so let's just read question 2. Question 2 states that Sammy asked 50 people which drinks they liked from tea, coffee, and milk. Now if you guys have analyzed the question, here we can see that there's tea, coffee, and milk. So there are 3 values here. So that's why I've labeled the capital T as tea, capital C as coffee, capital M as milk. So we're going to get 3 values, and we're just going to draw 3 circles overlapping each other. So we're going to work out the question. Let's try going it from up to bottom or from bottom to up. Depends on what your choice is. So we know that 50 people like at least all of these drinks. We know that from the start of the question that 50 people like it. So that's kind of covered. So we're going to take that part. We know that 19 people like all three drinks. So that itself gives us a clue that it's going to be an intersection between tea, coffee, and milk. Alright, so now 19 people like tea, coffee, and milk. That's done. We know that 16 people like tea and coffee. But remember, you guys have to watch the careful. You have to carefully, you have to carefully read the question, okay? They're stating here that 16 people like tea and coffee, but they do not like milk. That's a clear indicator that 16 people like tea and coffee. So we're not going to deduct 16 from 19. There's nothing like that. We're going to leave 16 just as it is. So we're not using subtraction in this type of question, but we're going to use subtraction later on for these parts here. So now we know that 21 people like a coffee and milk. So where you have, there's coffee here, there's milk here. So we know that 21 people like coffee and milk. Now we're not gonna put these values yet into this type of question. Now we know that 24 people like tea and milk. So we're not gonna put that question as well. We know that 40 people like coffee. Alright, so based on looking at this, actually we're going to start with this value first. We know that 21 people like coffee and milk. That shows us that it is an intersection between coffee and milk. So the intersection of coffee and milk is usually about this point here where I'm going to shade. So now you know that 21 people like coffee and milk, so you have 21 minus 19. This is where you're going to use subtraction, alright, because that whole overlap is between coffee and milk as well. So you have 2 here max. And now we know that 24 people like tea and milk, so we have 24 minus 19, which is going to give us a value of about 5. And we know that 40 people like coffee, so we have 40. I'm going to write this equation down here. 40, this should be in this portion here. We're going to find the value of that portion there. 40 minus 16 plus 19 plus 2. Now once you do that, guys, I'm just going to use a calculator in this case. Once you do that, 16 plus 19 plus 2, you have a value of about 3, and I'm going to write there down 3. Now that's done. Now we know that one person likes only milk, so since you know that it's only one person, you're going to write there down one person. Now you know that Sammy has asked about 50 people which drinks they like from both tea and coffee and milk, and you know that all 50 people like at least one of these drinks. Since you know that, we know that there's nothing in the universal set of this question. So what you have here is going to be 50 deduct from all of these values, 16 plus 19 plus 3 plus 2 plus 5 plus 1. Now this should give you a value of about, let's say, about 4. Now this 4 is going to be written down here. Now the reason I'm writing 4 down there is because all 50 people like at least one of the drinks. So there has to be a value there. So you have 4, 16, 19, 3, 5, 2, and 1. These are going to be your values. Now the question's not over. All we have done is just drawn a diagram. The question ends here saying that work out the probability that this person likes tea. So what I'm going to do is, what's the probability of the person liking tea? What's the values there? You have 4 plus 16 plus 19 plus 5. That's everything in T circle, right? So if we add all of that value up, you get a value of about 44. Since probability is somewhere like a fraction, 44 out of 50 people like T in that case. Or it's a fraction, it's a probability that a person likes T. So your answer, what I'm going to write here down, is going to be 44 divided by 50 people. You're just going to leave it like that. No need to simplify it. Usually probability, you don't need to simplify it, but whenever you do need to simplify it, simplify it. Now this question, this second question, is about, let's say, 4 marks, like I said. So for some marks for the diagram and for the calculation, and some marks for the answer itself. Now you can leave it as 0 here in the universal set. It's okay. We could just leave it empty, but preferably just write down a value there. That would be good. Let's move on to the next question. Now the third question is somewhat involving a bit of sets. Alright, so here, like I said, this symbol means it's a universal set. It's a universal set. Alright, so since it's a universal set, you're going to leave it just as it is. And we know that the universal set contains even numbers between 1 and 31. Alright, that's pretty awesome. It contains, now what I would like you guys to do is usually just list down these values. It's much easier to find it out. So what I'm going to do is one even numbers, 2, 4, 6, 8, let's say 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, and 28. These should be approximately all the values, 30 as well, between 30. So these are basically a 2 times table. And we know that A consists of the set. Sets are usually denoted using curly brackets, somewhat like this, not square, it's curly, okay? Alright, so now you have to complete the Venn diagram to represent this information. Now you have to know that this question has a statement below it. So what I've done is I've listed down the values. Now, a number is chosen at random from the universal set. What is the probability that this number is in set A union B? So they combined a bit of sets into Venn diagrams. So the symbol is union, so A union B, everything in A and B. Alright. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to fill this Venn diagram just like the question states you have to complete the Venn diagram accordingly. So you have 2, 4, 8. You want to write down, let's see if there's anything in common in this portion here between A and B. So between A and B, you can see that 8 seems to be in common. You can see that 18 also seems to be in common. 22 also seems to be in common as well. So you're going to write down 8, 18, 22. Now these are going to be your values that are in the intersection of both A and B. Now what are you going to do? You're going to cross out these values since you have already used them. Now you're going to have 2, 4, 14, 28. So completely of A's values cut off. And you have 10, 16, 30 to be left in B's set. These are the values. Now we know that it's not left like this. We have certain values in the rectangular box itself. This is where the universal set comes in handy. So now based on this, you're going to cross-check each value and see 2 is there in the set, 4 is there, 6 seems to be not there, so you're going to write down 6. Cut that out, 8 seems to be there, 10 seems to be there, 12 needs to be written down, 14 seems to be there, 16 seems to be there, 18 seems to be there, 20 seems to be not there, so we're going to write that down. 22 seems to be there in the set, 24 needs to be written down as well, 26 also needs to be written down as well. We know that 28 is there, we know that 30 is there, and yeah, that's it. Nothing including 31. It's all covered up. Alright, let's move on to this question B. Is that what is the probability that the number is in the set A union B? A union B. So the probability is that you have about, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are approximately 10 numbers. So you're going to write down 10 divided by a total of 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 out of 15 numbers in this whole set. So 10 out of 15 is your probability that the number is in set A union B. Now this total question for completing the Venn diagram and for writing down this 10 divided by 15 is about 6 marks. So you guys have to score this well in your GCSE or iGCSE exams. Alright, let's move on to the next question. Now, the next question states an other Venn diagram. Here is a Venn diagram that you guys can see, which is usually it's already filled up. Now you have to list the members of a inverted U in this case, which means intersection. So everything in between A and B, which intersects, which is in both A and B. List the members of A intersection B. So you can see that 3 is there, 1 is there, 8 is there. So you're just going to write it down in ascending order, 1, 3, and 8. This is going to be our answer for about 1 mark. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Is that a number is chosen at random from this kind of symbol. This means, again, guys, I'm just going to write it down for you guys. This is a universal set. Find P brackets B union C. Alright, now this P means, P stands for, in this case, is the probability. What's a probability probability of B union B union C. Alright, so you have B and you have C there. What's the probability? So now in this case is that you have to know what the probability of B union C. If you guys can notice, we have to calculate how many numbers are there. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 numbers in B union C. So you're going to write there down 10 divided by a total. There's 10 in B union C. 10, 11, 12 divided by a total of 12 numbers. So you have 10 divided by 12. Now this should be maximum of 3 marks, as 1 plus 2 is 3 marks. So you have 1, 3, and 8. 10 divided by 12. Fairly straightforward and easy. You guys can do this. Alright, let's move on to the final question. Now the final question is stating that you have the universal set which has odd numbers which is less than 30. Now what I'm going to do is preferably I would like you guys to list this down again. So I'm going to write down E here is equal to curly brackets odd numbers. Okay, 1, 3, 5, 7, let's say 7, 9, 11, 13, 14, not 14, it's going to be 15, let's say 17, 19, 21, 23, 25, and 27, and 29. And I'm going to close the curly bracket since it's going to be less than 30. Alright, that's your universal set. Now you have to complete the Venn diagram to represent this kind of information. You know that, let's see what's in intersection between A, B, and C. Okay, what's in between them all. So if you look closely to the question, you can see that 7 is common in all of them. You can see that 29 is not in common with all of them. Actually, it's only 7. So I'm going to write down 7 there. Once you do that, you have 7 there. You're going to cross out 7 from all 3 sets. Now you're going to write down whatever is in set A. If you guys can see any intersection between set A and B, just do that. You can see in set A and B you see some intersection at 29, so you're going to write down 29. Now you're going to cross them out as well. Once you do that, you have 29 there. I'm going to write that down properly so you guys can see that out. Alright, so you have 1, 5, and 23. These seems to be the rest of the numbers in set A, in this circle of A. And in that circle of B, you have 11 and 15. 15 seems to be in combination of both set B and set C. So we're going to cross that out as well. So yeah, cross them all out. And the rest seems to be just 17, 19, 25, 27. You're going to leave it as it is and you're going to cross all of them out. Now you're going to check with the universal set, whatever's left. You know that 1 is there, 3 needs to be there, you know that 5 is there, you know that 7 is there, you know that 9 needs to be there, you know that 11 is there, you know that 13 needs to be there, 15 is there, 17 is there, 19 is there, 21 needs to be there as well, 23 is there, 25 is also there, 27 is also there, 29 is also there. That's it, everything less than 30. Now we have completed the Venn diagram to represent this information. Now let's move on to the final question. Is that a number is chosen at random from this universal set. Find the probability that this number is a member of A intersection B. So set A intersection B, whatever is in set A and B. So you have 1, 2 numbers. That's going to be your answer. So 2, that's not going to be a final answer. You're going to be 2 divided by a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 numbers are there. 2 divided by 15 should be your final answer. Now this total marks for this question is 3. So you have 2 divided by 15. That's a probability that the number is a member of A intersection B. Okay, set A intersection B. Now this seems to be the end of all the questions. If you guys have enjoyed the video, please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It really helps a lot. And do comment below on what your thoughts are about this video, on whether I should continue solving questions related to topics or past papers. Do comment below on what your thoughts are. And yeah guys, I think that's it. Alright, have fun and enjoy, stay motivated, and that's it. Bye guys.